Man, if you are new with us or you're just kind of wandering in, I'm Kyle, and I'm the pastor here, and honored that you take some time to be with us. We have kind of a different sort of Sunday today, just because we're having like a family meeting, you know? So that doesn't mean that anyone's in trouble, okay? That's sometimes what family meetings mean, you know what I'm saying? All you teens and preteens, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, but we have a new associate pastor that we're bringing on. This is Sean, everybody.
Hi. Good morning.
This is Sean's wife, Anna. And I wanted to just take some specific time just set aside to give you guys space to just get to know them. And so I was just going to have them share, but then the more I thought about that, the more I was like, man, this could be so awkward for them. It's just like, hey, a bunch of people we don't know, here's who we are. So I thought it might be better for me to just talk to them this morning and give them space. So we're just going to have a conversation together, and I'll let them mostly talk, okay? And you guys can time that if you want. How much did Kyle talk during this interview? I'm shooting for 5 minutes, so I've already used 3. Here we go. So yeah, Sean and I actually, and Anna, and my wife and I have known each other for many years, almost 20, I think. 18, 19 years,
Pretty
I think,
close to
for
that,
Anna. Yeah, so Anna and Mabel were fast friends because Anna and Mabel grew up both in South America, sort of. I'll let Anna share more about that, but they're both Hispanohablantes. And Sean and I were very slow friends because we have nothing in common except Jesus, and we'll share more about that. So yeah, looking back over the years, like how I would say that one thing that I admire about both of you guys is that you have a very real relationship with Jesus, that Mabel and I have seen over the years how you have changed as people because of that relationship with Jesus. So we've definitely watched God shape you, but what do you think are some key moments from both of your stories that helped to shape you and prepare you maybe for this?
Yeah, thinking through that, I guess one thing that we've talked about over the years too is usually pain is the thing that helps people grow the most, more than your successes. So if it's okay with you guys, we'd just like to jump in the deep end of the pool of some of the difficult times that we've gone through, because I think people can relate to that more than someone's successes. And those are the things that God uses to shape us in our lives. So yeah, in 2016 was probably one of the most difficult years that we've had since we've been married. So we got married in 2010. And I had a business that I was working on, and so we didn't try starting a family until about 2016. And we had some really difficulty with that. So one of the things is that we found out that Anna was pregnant, and then very quickly after that, she started having not just regular morning sickness, but an extreme form of morning sickness, which is called hyperemesis gravidatum. And we didn't really know what to expect at that point. It was just kind of like, let's take each day at a time. But as the months went on, Anna was throwing up about 20 times a day and was actually losing weight through the pregnancy. You're supposed to usually be gaining weight when you're pregnant, but losing weight through the whole pregnancy. And so we had gone to a bunch of different doctors to try and figure out, is there any medication that can help with this? Anna had been hospitalized twice just because she kept becoming dehydrated and having difficulty there. And then in the midst of that, part of our story is that Anna has struggled with anxiety throughout her life. And it kind of came to a crux in about the middle of her pregnancy when she started having real irrational fears, once again. And this was difficult for me because I was trying to also run a business downtown. And I would leave for work, and we would have conversations, and I would try and talk her off the ledge. And this was in 2016. There was a lot in the news about ISIS and some of the brutal murders that they were committing. And so Anna started becoming very fearful that ISIS was going to come to Loris Boulevard, where we lived. And And so that was difficult because for me, I'm like, this is very irrational. Like, this is something that isn't that a normal fear that people would normally have. And so as we kind of started talking through that, we got to a point that Anna reached out to a friend of ours who's a licensed counselor, and we started putting the pieces together that while she was throwing up so much, she wasn't getting her anxiety medication. So now we're having not just physical issues and problems of losing weight, but also mental health issues because she wasn't able to keep her medication down. And so thoughts of self-harm, other difficult mental health struggles were also coinciding with that. As we were trying to navigate that, I found out that my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And from the time he was diagnosed to the time he passed away was a little bit less than 3 weeks. So he passed away very suddenly. So all these things kind of coalesced in our life, and it was a very difficult season for us. But it was through the Lord being so patient with us, using the church that we were a part of at the time to help support us. It was hard because there wasn't much the church could actually do. There was nothing they could do to help Anna feel better, to help the death of my father. There wasn't really anything they could do besides just walk alongside us and pray for us. But the Lord was very gracious to us through that. And so that was really shaping for us. I think it gave us a lot of compassion for people who are going through difficult seasons as things start stacking up. Throughout Anna's sickness, she also couldn't work. And then, how these things just spiral in your lives, right? And then you have financial issues, and you've got mental health issues, and you've got, it just snowballs. And so for us, it was the first time that we just really felt like, man, just one or two things can really just put you out of control. And so it was really humbling for us, and it really gave us a lot of compassion for people who were going through really difficult things. And I would say that was one of the things that really shaped us. And then our daughter was born healthily in 2017, the very first day, January 1st. And so everything just really smoothed out after that as much as can be. But so that was a little bit from my perspective and maybe the overarching situation. But if you want to share a little bit about what that was like for you.
Yeah, I just, as you're talking, just listening to you, there's nothing in your life like going through, your own fire. I'm not going to compare my pain to your pain. We're all different. But when I was walking through it, there was nothing that made me realize just a better way to love people because of so many comments that were given to me of good-hearted people that were trying to help. And for me, it was like, okay, that's another thing that I'm not going to say to a person that's hurting. So I feel like the Lord really guided us through this, and we were just so at the end of ourselves, but as God was patient with us and gracious and brought also the right people in our lives, and also showed us what things that are not super helpful. Even though you have good intentions, sometimes it's best to not say anything and just to be present with the person. Yeah. So for me, I think I learned just to be gracious at times with people, to kind of see beyond their words, to see, okay, they're trying to help. They're telling me again, reminding me to try ginger and crackers. And, it was not easy, but I needed to give grace and just understand. But I think God really brought Sean and I together. We were united. When you go through hard things, you really do have two choices or two paths to take. You either get angry and you just throw in the towel and say, screw it. I'm done with this. I'm done with the church. I'm done with my family, whatever it is. Or you can take the path of how does God want to grow me through this? You know, in the end, like, it's not about me. God's ultimate purpose for me is to transform me into the image of Jesus. So how, I don't get this. I don't know how he's doing this, but I got to trust that he is. And I'm thankful that Sean and I were able to grow together through this. Him living in the same home as someone that had irrational fears and anxieties was not easy, but I can see how good he kind of got at just being present and listening. And even now that we are in a better place in our lives, we see people struggling, and we step back and we say, we remember what it was like. You can't just reason and pour knowledge and pour quotes and even Bible verses. As much as God's word brings life, sometimes it's not what people need. Sometimes people need love and presence, and and sometimes you say more when you don't say anything. So I'm just really thankful that God used that to prepare us to connect with people who are hurting, because we've been on the other side and we have seen the difference between just pouring knowledge, and just being and listening.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my perspective.
No, that's great. Thanks. I think you kind of answered this already, but just like how do you, I think what resonates with you guys about our mission to make fully reproducible followers of Jesus in the everyday stuff of life through community. So if you could talk about, and I think you've touched on some of those themes already, but just what particularly resonates with you guys about that?
Yeah, I think the first part, reproducible followers of Jesus. I think a lot of churches have that. That's a pretty common one because that's what we're called to do in the Great Commission. We're called to share the love of Christ with others and to help them grow into maturity so that way they can share the love of Christ with others. What I think is maybe a little bit more unique about your statement is in the everyday stuff of life. So a lot of times, well-meaning, churches try to put on big events that is an attempt to connect with people, but sometimes that doesn't connect with people because they're just thinking, how is this going to impact when I have to go to work on Monday and I hate my job? Or how is this really going to resonate with me when I'm struggling in my relationships? Or it's through the everyday stuff of life, the simple things that I think God meets a lot of people. And he does meet us in these extenuating circumstances and these great things and programs that we can put together, but it's also through just the everyday stuff of life that God uses to grow us slowly. And then the through community piece. Community has been really the tangible hands and feet for us in our life that has really helped show us who God is in a real way. God reveals himself through his word, and we can read that and understand that, and that foundation is irreplaceable. But God has also given us the church, meaning other believers around us, to be the actual hands and feet who can come and sit with us in a way that, because Jesus has ascended into heaven, he can't physically come and sit next to me in the same way that someone from church can. And I think that presence, we're called to be the presence of people in community to help heal one another. And so I know you guys have been going through this Pain to Purpose series, and this has also really resonated with us. We really resonated with the Vision Sunday we watched, as Kyle shared with you guys, the vision of just being a community of people that want to also help heal other people. And we love that, and we really resonate with that. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure that I'm answering and not just going off.
Yeah, sure. So it's just what resonates with you about the mission of making fully reproducible followers of Jesus in the everyday stuff of life through community.
Okay.
Feels like really long.
No, it's starting to get lost in there.
Yeah.
So I have been moved to love on the community. In the last couple years, I have felt just almost a need to see and to meet the people of Dubuque. So I started substitute teaching at Kennedy at my daughter's school. I was at Hoover before, but Hoover closed and everything, so we're at Kennedy now. But substitute teaching, I wanted to expose myself to the hurt and the broken and the kids that sometimes you do church and you hang out with your group and your community and that's it. And then it's easy to forget that there's a whole lot of people out there that are hurting, and putting myself out there and meeting the kids, meeting the families, a lot of Spanish speakers at the school, and just hearing their stories has been and continues to be very healing for even my mental health, because I'm not thinking about myself, I'm thinking about other people, and that is, I've learned, a very healing thing to do. So when the conversation started about the possibility of coming here, I just feel like God has been preparing my heart through substitute teaching at the school, meeting so many different families. And also I've been involved with Moms Connect, which is broken moms, all of us broken moms, trying to do and support each other and do the whole, how do I love my kid and what's the best way to do this, and just supporting each other. So it has been such a fulfilling time in my life to be able to, and the more I go to Moms Connect and the more I substitute teach, the more I see just the kingdom just coming, and I'm reminded that this was Jesus' original plan for broken people to be there for each other. There's a tricky thing, and I don't know if I'm answering the question, but there's a tricky thing with knowledge. I went to a Bible college. I came as an international student. Mabel walked in a week later, with her mom, with her Mexican flag, and I'm like, oh, you speak Spanish too. So we went to a Bible college in town, and, we spent 4 years there, but there's something about knowledge that I've been learning as I get older, that if knowledge is not accompanied by love, it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. Whatever degrees, whatever this, it's important to know, but that knowledge should lead you to love God and love others more and better. So I went through a period of time in my life, years, where I took a lot of pride, like, well, I know that theology and I know that from Bible college. I remember that. And in the end, my attitudes and my pride, I was losing people. I was losing people because they don't need that. People need love and people need presence. And the more I get older, I'm going to be 40 next year, but the older I get, the more I realize that, that 1 Corinthians 13, it says, you can know all the mysteries and all the prophecies and all the things, but if you have no love, it doesn't mean anything. So what's been big in my life lately is that I don't know, that I see in part, and that we see like a mirror and we don't know, but one day we look to the future that we will see fully, because we are fully known by Christ. And that continues to change me. So I resonate with the mission of New Life because God has been revealing more and more brokenness in my life, and I want to feel like I fit with people that allow me to be broken and not perfect. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I really am. I really am.
That's good. So Sean, as your friend, obviously I've had a first row view to your gifts in teaching and leadership and especially administration. But for those who don't know, could you just describe how you feel like God has uniquely wired you for ministry and why you feel like that could be a good fit here, what you feel like you can do?
Yeah. I always wanted to do ministry since I was in high school. I was a part of a really powerful youth ministry. And so I just always wanted to do youth ministry or be involved in ministry in some sort of way. And so
We already have a youth ministry.
Okay.
I'm just checking. He's coming for you, Nathan. He's coming for you. So, okay, I'm sorry.
No. I know Nathan very well. He lived with us for a few months, and so we love Nathan. But no, I've always wanted to do ministry. So I went to a Bible college. That's where I met Anna. And right after that, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into full-time ministry, and I've always been at the cross-section of business and ministry. I became more and more interested in business as I was working at the Harley dealership here in town. I worked there for a couple years and really kind of got to see some of the leadership side of that and the administration side of that, and was really interested in that. And so through a series of things, I opened my own business, but I've been back and forth between business and ministry. I love both of these. I love the cross-section of that. And it sounds really boring to think about administration or systems and processes, but like I've really learned, if you create good systems, it can really enable people to care and love for other people in a way that they can't if things are not organized. And we can help ensure that people don't slip through the cracks. Some people think that administration or organization is antithesis or on the opposite side of caring for people. But I've really seen that actually they can work together in a beautiful way. So that way you're not worried about all the logistics because you know that those things are taken care of. Then you can actually be more present with the person in front of you, because in the back end of your mind, you're not worrying about all of these other things. You can actually care and listen and be present with that person. And so you shared a little bit that our gifts are maybe not the same. They're very complementary. But me and Kyle, I've been able to share an office, and I have an office here at the building for the last 3.5 years. And even though our dispositions are different, we have a very similar heart for the way we view people, the way we view ministry, our kind of convictions about how we believe God has revealed himself, what's helpful, how to engage our community, things like that. But we have different skill sets as far as that. And so I love to help bring organization, bring clarity, bring systems that can help enable people to love people better.
Yep, so true. The office has never looked so clean either. You guys don't know that if you haven't been over there. But Anna, this one's for you, but you've walked alongside Sean for many years. How do you think you've seen God shape Sean for this role? And how do you see your own role kind of coming alongside him in this season?
I don't know. I want to say like he's married to me. He's prepared. For the most part.
That's it. Stop.
Trial by
Stop
fire
there.
is what she means.
Let's stop.
I am not the easiest person to live with, but I have a growth mindset, and
Yes.
I want to grow, and I want to learn, and I isn't awareness the first step to change?
Yes.
So I am very aware.
This is what
that
I'll
I
say
can
about
be-
Anna, okay? She's not lying, all right? So she's a tough cookie, but what Mabel and I agree on is she's the most improved friend every year. Every year. It's true. So like every year there's consistent growth in her. That I'm sure of. So sorry.
No, and nobody would know how far I've come along except Mabel and Kyle. Like, they met me 20 years ago, and they are the ones that know how far. They're proud of me. They're proud of me. Anyway.
This is a true story, and I'll make this very short, but the first time I ever met Anna, I was trying to just befriend her, and she completely shut me down because she thought I was trying to pick her up. So I was like, hey, give me your phone number. We'll like hang out sometime. She's like, I don't give boys my phone number. And I was like, do not want to be that person's friend. Yeah, noted.
We've come a long way.
We have come a long way since then. Yeah.
So I think that Sean really has a calling. Like when he was kind of searching, maybe for something different, like I'm like, okay, could you I don't know, go to Starbucks or Hy-Vee or something, or some, creative center, workplace, or do you actually have a calling? I needed to hear it so that I don't put myself in between a calling or just, I just want something different. No, he has a calling, and I have seen just his heart continue to break and be eager to see God's kingdom here, to see a community of people that we're learning together, we're growing together. He also does thrive a lot with systems, and he likes things organized, but he's very gracious too. He's very gracious with people when they're not organized, I guess. I don't know. He's like, okay, let's work with this. Let's do this together, I don't know. And I'm just really thankful, I don't know, for the way he cares for me and loves me and leads our family. I don't know. He just loves us well. I don't know how to say it, and he loves people well, and he's very wise. He's he gives me a lot of therapy, I think. I just talk, and he just listens, and that's all I need. So, but he's a great listener. He's a great leader. He leads with a lot of gentleness and graciousness, and at least in our home, that's been true. And I grew up, my dad was a pastor for a long time, and I grew up just learning and realizing that, the home and the church are not two separate things, You, the same person that you are at home and the way you're leading your family, that's going to flow to your church, and that's going to flow to the way you lead and love people in the church. So I continue to see one person in Sean. He's the same person at home. He's the same person when he's serving at the mission. He serves on Tuesdays, and he's the same person when he talks to people, and that to me just means so much. Just to recognize the same man that I see him in so many different ways, he's the same person. And to me, that means so much. I love being Julie's mom, and I love being his wife, and I see my way of coming alongside him with continuing to create in our home a place of refuge, of peace, of making good Peruvian meals, and just continuing to support him in that way so that he feels, and this is my desire. I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but my desire is to create a home where he can just come and feel rested and loved and heard, and that he can be strengthened in that way so he can go out and love on all of you guys. So that's my desire.
Yeah, so final word here, just ministry obviously invites more pain into your life. That's just how it is, okay, everybody? Surprise. Yeah, and so it's getting to walk alongside people as they face some of the more difficult things of life. And so what keeps you anchored, and we'll kind of keep this section short, but what keeps you anchored when ministry gets tough?
Yeah, I've been in ministry, at least as either a volunteer or involved in some ways, like I'm sure a number of you guys have, but for more than 20 years. And so I've been a part or seen churches split. I've been a part of a church plant that imploded and failed. I've been a part of an organization that there was a scandal, and so I've seen some things as well as you have.
Yeah.
And I've really seen that people will eventually disappoint you, but Christ won't. That Christ is the one that we need to center ourselves around. And so disillusionment will come with the church, with ministry, with whatever you're doing, but disillusionment with Christ won't come if you're truly seeking him and understanding him correctly. And so keeping our eyes fixed on Christ and the work that he has set before us, and giving him the results, right? We're called to be faithful. There's nothing that we can do to engineer a perfect church or church growth or things like that. We just have to be faithful and leave the results up to the Lord. And I think Jesus himself uses the analogy of farming and of planting. And you plant and you water, but the growth is from God. And so a lot of times in ministry, we try to engineer circumstances that will cause the growth, but there's nothing we can do. The growth is from the Spirit. And so I think keeping that as the mindset of how can we continue being faithful and then giving the results to the Lord, it's on him, the results.
Yeah, that's great.